Thank you very much, Doxy. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank all of you for coming today as we announce what I truly think is an innovative pilot program that I'm absolutely thoroughly excited about. A pilot that I believe will revolutionize how government uses technology to collect residents' feedback through today's popular social media sites. The D.C. government has gotten so much better, I think, over the last decade. We've continued to make steady progress here in the city around the basic services that are provided to people. And of course, like today's technology environment, it's important that we continue to improve. I think some will remember that an independent researcher just a few months ago at Georgetown University commented on research that he had done and concluded that the basic services provided by the city continues to improve. According to the analysis, on average, it takes city workers 5 or fewer days to respond to basic problems. And this is due to a better managed workforce, an embrace of technology, and frankly, an increasing commitment to customer service, which every one of us engages in. I do it myself. I've been to meetings where a citizen raises an issue, and I will sit there, get on the phone with various directors or deputy mayors, and we solve the problem right then. Do it now. That's the watchword. Watchwords. Do it now. You wait until tomorrow, there'll be another problem to solve. Do it now. And that's what this is about. I think we know that our city service is only as good as the workers who do them, and certainly nobody knows that better than our labor unions in the city. And I know we've been joined today by some of our labor leaders. Where are they? If they're not here, some will be here. Here we are. Eric, how are you, sir?
Good, sir.
All right.
Good.
How are you, sir? Thanks. Good to see you. All right. If you all will be amenable to it, when we get to that point, I'd like to ask you to come up and just say a few words, if you don't mind.
Okay.
All right. However few you may wish. We thought Geo Johnson, you represented Geo today, right? I think we know also that we don't want to rest on our laurels and just pat ourselves on the back for what we think is a job that is being done increasingly better. Our government is here to work for the residents, and we want to continue to make it easier for citizens to be able to communicate with their government and provide us with the feedback we need to continue improving. And that includes us using cutting-edge technology to be able to do so. Again, I mentioned over and over again, we constantly strive to have the highest quality services we possibly can for our citizens. We are striving to be a world-class citizen, and therefore, to do that, we have to provide world-class, first-class services. And while we're at it, wouldn't it be great to do it in partnership with one of our homegrown DC tech companies? Just as a little bit of background, I went over to, and we're going to hear from newBrandAnalytics, I went over to newBrandAnalytics to learn more about what they do. This was several months ago because they were thinking about leaving the District of Columbia and going elsewhere. And that's unfortunately been the story all too many times for us with our tech companies in particular. They were not only thinking about leaving the city, they were thinking about going to the West Coast. And I wanted to sit down with them and hear, one, more information about what they do, and then secondly, to understand how we could keep them there, keep them here. And frankly, I never thought that by sitting down with them, we would discover a way that they could work with the city. What they were doing was they had figured out a technology, an application that was measuring the quality of services provided by restaurants, in particular in the city. They had a way of mining data, of analyzing data, of calculating from that data the perception of how those services were being provided, and then providing a score to each one of those restaurants. I remember the example of Carmine's that was used, and the information that was being provided to Carmine's, and how in real time Carmine's was making changes in how they did service to be able to serve their customer base as well. And frankly, as I sat there, I said, we could do this. We ought to be able to do this with the district government services. It's certainly an analogous to me that what they were doing for restaurants you know, that Carmine's could be DMV, or that any other restaurant could be one of our District of Columbia agencies. So I want to thank newBrandAnalytics for working with us over the last. I want to thank them for staying in the District of Columbia, first of all. And I want to thank newBrandAnalytics and Sean O'Leary, who you'll hear from shortly, for working with us to develop this. Again, we're absolutely excited about applying cutting-edge technology from the private sector to determining how residents, how citizens of the city perceive the quality of the services that they're provided. I mentioned in the State of the District address back in February that we would launch Grade.DC.Gov later this year, and now that is today. Today is the day. Grade.DC.Gov harnesses innovative technology to acquire residents' feedback from our website and from comments made by many people on the agency's social media sites like Twitter, Facebook, and various blogs that are operated around the city. After harvesting the online commentary, newBrandAnalytics, I'll call them NBA, will interpret and analyze qualitative feedback in order to, 1, provide an overall agency grade and specific categorical grades. 2, identify the root causes of customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction, if you will, and guide decision makers to allocate limited taxpayer resources to address the most burning issues cited by our constituents. The Grade.DC.Gov platform is being piloted first with 5 district government agencies whose employees and online presence interact with large segment of the district's residents and businesses on a daily basis. That includes DCRA, the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs. Is Nick here? Are you behind me, Nick? Okay, Nick Majette, who is the director. The Department of Transportation, District Department of Transportation. Terry Bellamy is the director. Terry's right there. The Department of Motor Vehicles, and you're going to hear from Lucinda Babers shortly, whose office happens to be right down the street, right, and the inspection station right behind us. The Department of Parks and Recreation, Jesus Aguirre, the director. Where's Jesus? There you are, right behind me. And also, of course, the Department of Public Works, that is led by Bill Howland. The app that we're moving forward with today, Grade.DC.Gov, was developed in cooperation with Octo. I see Rob Mancini. Come on up, Rob. Does a great job leading Octo. And by the way, we're going to add 10 additional agencies in the next few months. After we see how this operates with 5 agencies, work out the whatever imperfections may exist, and then we'll expand it. Again, I want to thank the agency directors that I just mentioned for helping us get this up and running. And by the way, this does not eliminate or diminish at all our 311 number that people will continue to use, nor the new 311 app. We're going to probably do a tutorial on Channel 16 on the 311 app because we've had some concerns raised about it. Some of them may be work that has to be done with the app itself. Others may be to help people to know how to use it properly. We want to, of course, encourage our residents to report immediate service requests as they normally do, like with 911 or paramedic services, police and paramedic services through 911, and then the non-emergency 311 number. But Grade.DC.Gov is an additional opportunity for residents to essentially rate our services and provide feedback on what we're doing well and what we could be doing better. I don't think there's any substitute for resident feedback. And by holding ourselves accountable with the vast amount of feedback that already is out there, and there will be more of as a result of this, I think we will improve government services. You can go to www.grade.dc.gov. Everybody got that? Grade.dc.gov right now, and start submitting your comments through the website or via your cell phone or in a text message. We have little cards here too. We have any of those cards? Great. Why don't we hand them out so folks can see them, Matt? This will tell you a little bit about them. And by the way, there will be cards given out in every one of the 5 agencies that I mentioned, and I think eventually we'll have one that is tailored for each one of the agencies so that DMV will have its own card, etc. Now, just as an example, take DMV, which of course has a Twitter account. You tweet your feedback, if you have a Twitter account, you tweet your feedback to @DCDMV and share your experience with us in as much detail as possible. And the same can be done through a text message. And by the way, just saying that something is bad is not all that helpful, is it, Lucinda? But tell us if you have a bad experience, tell us what it is, and we'll try to work on that. If you have a good experience, we'd like to know that also. It's good psychologically for everybody who works in these agencies. Again, you'll hear more about how this works. But let's say it is DMV. You can text to 202-499-2486. Or if you want to provide a much more lengthy response to that, you can go to the feedback form on Grade.DC.Gov and provide information. Again, I promise in the State of the District address to ensure the residents have a high quality of life. And to do that, we must provide them with these kinds of investments so that we do the best job we can of ensuring that every tax dollar is spent wisely on a government that works. That's why we created this new, and I think this is the first in the nation, pilot. I don't think there's any other city or state doing anything like this, so I suspect that we will get inquiries about this. This might be something that Governing Magazine might want to pay some attention to. So I'm going to ask our communications folks, Pedro and others, to look at the possibility of reaching out to Governing Magazine, because these are the kind of innovations that they pay attention to. Now, the first grades will be announced in July of 2012, just a matter of weeks from now, and we'll give you an idea of what the perception is of the services in some of our agencies. With that having been said, again, I want to thank Sean O'Leary, who is the CEO of newBrandAnalytics, for receiving us at NBA, for remaining in the District of Columbia, and now working with the District of Columbia government to be able to develop this very unique and innovative application that I think will serve our citizens very well. So I'd like to give Sean a chance to come up now, and then we'll hear from some other folks as well, including Lucinda Babers and Eric Bunn and some of his colleagues as well. Sean?
Yes, sir. Thanks very much. That's great. I'm glad the wind died down. My papers won't fly all over the place now. First of all, we are absolutely thrilled to be here today. The last 3 or 4 months that we've been working with the group in the mayor's office and throughout the different agencies has been a really, really good, strong, positive experience. As Mayor Gray mentioned, we got together back in December in our offices, and it was really just an opportunity to sit down and get to know each other and meet each other and learn about our business. And it was about 5 minutes into the presentation when I saw his eyes kind of go off in the distance, and he leaned over to one of the folks on his staff and he said, "Why aren't we doing this?" Since that day, it's been "do it now," I think has been the... I didn't know that phrase, but that's kind of what's happened. So it's been very exciting for us, and you know, it's been great. We're very excited for today's announcement. As the mayor mentioned, newBrandAnalytics is a Washington D.C. based company. We're a social market intelligence firm that captures, deciphers, and analyzes unstructured comments on the web for businesses, almost entirely companies in the private sector. Our typical clients, as he mentioned, are restaurants and hotels, firms that really obsess over ensuring that customers get the best service. They work tirelessly to provide their clients the opportunity to give direct, instantaneous, honest feedback on those experiences. And what we do is take that unstructured data and not just put together a simple survey, but we delve into the individual operational areas of that business, whether it's service, whether it's food quality, whether it's ambiance, you name it. And we peel out grades and insights as to how to improve those areas of those specific businesses. So we see an absolutely great application here with Grade.DC.Gov. As I mentioned, those are our typical clients, so you can imagine how innovative it is in our perspective, really for the first time in the States, as far as we know, that a government agency is going forward with a process like this. I give the group credit. They are sticking their neck out for their clients and their residents and their constituents in this instance by posting these grades and then expecting that those grades are going to improve over time. So we see it as a great challenge on our part to help in this project, and we look forward to seeing continuous improvement in these areas. I do want to say, you know, that this project is the brainchild of Mayor Gray, and it's a great example of a private company and a government entity working together to improve the services and efficiency for its residents. This site is going to allow people to use the Metro services to share their thoughts and experiences, as has been said, both good and bad, directly with the people in the DC government who can affect change and improve those services over time. We're very excited to share our capabilities, which are very unique, to make these experiences better for everybody. And we anticipate a strong interest from other Metro governments as this works out. I do want to say that the Mayor's office, as I said earlier, really has been a great partner. The people have been very easy to work with, very responsive, and it really has probably been the best and easiest development project that we've had thus far. And for a company that focuses on working with the private sector, that says a lot. So I do want to, take my hats off. Now, we're not anywhere near where we need to be to finish this. This is a pilot, and I want to make sure everybody understands that there will be some work to do over the coming months as we add new departments and areas. But it's been a great start. We do see our company as a great example of what can be accomplished with the infrastructure available in this DC market. The Mayor mentioned that we were looking at other areas. We did have some interest as we were raising money to go out west. Fortunately, we were able to raise the predominance of our investment capital from NEA and Revolution, which are both locally based funds. That, coupled with the mindset that we saw in the group and the propensity of good office space, not too much good office space was available, but there was some good office space available, allowed us to move just last month to Foggy Bottom. We're very excited to be in that area. But between the talent, the amenities, the access to growth capital, the local government mindset, this has been a fantastic home for us to grow our company, our tech company, and we really see it as a spectacular place for tech companies at all stages of growth. So we're very happy to be a part of the project. We're excited to keep working hard, and we're excited to grow what we think is going to be a great business in this community. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Again, let me underscore that we have set out on a journey to be able to retain the tech companies that we have and attract more. 4 to 5 moved in back in January and brought with them a number of firms that are being incubated. We've worked with Living Social to try to have them remain in the city, obviously with newBrandAnalytics, Hello Wallet, and a number of others. We've had innumerable meetings with tech firms here in the city, which I've actually attended. They actually are fun. And what a great group of people that are involved in doing this. And our Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development has been involved in this. David Zipper, who is our Director of Business Development, has done a great job in developing this area. And he has, working with him, I think the first ever staff person who has been solely devoted to technology in the district government in our Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development's office, and it's Jennifer Boss. And we're going to continue to develop that because we know it is such an opportunity for the city, especially to do what we set out to do, and that is to expand our economy. One of the agencies of the 5 that were courageous enough to step forward, the 5 that are behind me, is the Department of Motor Vehicles, which is used by many, many, many people in the District of Columbia. I hope you don't mind me quoting you from the cabinet meeting the other day.
Oh, I said so much.
She said, and she's absolutely right, and that is not very insightful or very helpful to send in a comment that says DMV sucks. And it isn't. We'd rather know more precisely what the experience is that you have. And we hope that if it's a positive experience, tell us what was positive so we can build on that. Lucinda does a great job running the Department of Motor Vehicles. Please join me in welcoming Lucinda Babers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, first of all, I do want to say that we are looking forward to the implementation, which, of course, the Grade.DC.Gov site was available this morning. And what we currently get is we get a lot of feedback. And, I mean, as the mayor said, we truly last week got a tweet that said, at DCDMV, you suck. And, you know, what is the response to that? You know, you kind of need to know more specifics. And so one of the things that Grade.DC.Gov is going to do for us is it's going to let us focus in on, okay, what particular facility? Is it a particular employee? Is it a process? You know, is it the facility in terms of there was an air conditioning problem? Give us more feedback so that we can better address the situation. Because without that feedback, we're just taking comments, and you know what they say? They say that if you don't tell people specifics, we believe that you're referring to someone else. You know, it's that somebody, everybody, nobody. So we are going to be, I'll be personally reviewing the feedback because I personally tweet and I personally Facebook. And so we do get a lot of constituents and residents who will come at us through all of our feedback mechanisms. And so this is an opportunity, though, for us to perhaps get more information than 140 characters on Twitter will provide for us. So I'm sure you're going to be hearing about us. And I, of course, I think I did volunteer, Mr. Mayor. I think I did volunteer DMV, but I would be nothing without my brothers. And that is, of course, the Department of Public Works, Director Howland, and the Department of Transportation, Director Bellamy. I drug them into this pilot kicking and screaming. And that's because you all know that we're sister agencies. And so a lot of times we do get feedback, and someone will tweet or they'll put on Facebook that we wrote them an incorrect ticket. And of course, you all know we don't issue tickets. Or else they'll tell me that my signage is off. And of course, we don't deal with signage. And so it is going to be very helpful for us to make sure that the resident feedback get to the appropriate agency who could do something about it. So that's why we're kind of looking forward to seeing how this pilot works. And we are going to be working with Sean and newBrandAnalytics to do whatever tweaks are necessary to make sure that this is a successful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucinda. And she mentioned two other agencies in addition to our own. And let's make sure we know that DCRA and DPR are not just along for the ride. And by the way, we decided not to pick just the easiest agencies to start this. We picked the toughest agencies from a customer perspective to start this so we could really hold ourselves accountable and we could learn as much as we could. There are three things that will be provided. I don't want to make this simpler than what it is, but it will it'll provide an overall agency grade, which is what newBrandAnalytics has done to help us set up. And then, just like with the restaurants, there'll be specific categorical grades that will relate to the principal functions that are performed by each of the agencies. And each one of those categorical grades will be tailored to the specific agencies that are involved. The second piece of feedback we will get will be to try to identify the root causes of what the customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction is related to. And then thirdly, to figure out how we take the dollars that are allocated to those budgets or to the government through the taxpayers to be able to make those services better at the end of the day. And we're delighted, by the way, to work with our partners. I'm glad Eric Bunn has come today. He's a great guy to work with. I've known Eric for years, long before I got into this job. And he's one of our labor leaders. He's a leader in the AFGE here in the District of Columbia. And frankly, I think one of the things this will do is sometimes you get into labor management negotiations and it's like the finger pointing. This will allow us to have a tool that both of us can look at and figure out how we make changes on the basis of not what management says or what labor says, on what the customers are saying around the city. Please join me in welcoming Eric Bunn.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would first like to thank the mayor for allowing the unions, myself, with the American Federation of Government Employees, and my partner James Obney would ask me to be part of this Grade.DC.Gov. We look at it as an opportunity. Collectively, between the two of us, we represent about 16,000 government employees, unionized employees through the district government, and it gives us an opportunity, as the mayor said, to look at the services we provide and how can we improve them. I see this as an opportunity for us to take this type of information and pull it over into a partnership and look how collectively we can work out the issues and resolve any concerns of our residents. And ultimately, that's what we're here to do. We're public servants to serve our residents and give the best service we can give to them. And this technology And you just happen to pick 5 of the agencies that I represent, but, you know, without talking to me, okay? But give us an opportunity to get in there and find out what the issues are, how can we improve those services, and ultimately, like I said, that's what we do. And so I look forward to this opportunity and us working together and providing these services to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. The other government union partner representing labor that we work with is AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. Geo Johnson is the longtime head of that, very active, somebody we work closely with. He can't be here today, but he's ably represented by James Ivey. So come on up, James, and have a few words.
I just want to thank the mayor for this project. Also, I echo the sentiments of Eric Vaughn, my esteemed partner. And the bottom line, short deal of it is that when you know better, you do better. And I think that's what we're looking at moving forward. So I'll be brief and thank you very much.
Thank you. We've been working with AFSCME, for example, on our transportation issues with special education in the city. And without going into a great amount of detail, we've made an enormous amount of progress. And you're going to hear more about where we are with that. And it's been under litigation, I think, for 15, 17 years. And we've made an enormous amount of progress. We've reformed that area within the government. We've been working closely with the workforce. We've been working closely with the monitor, David Gilmore, who we know has very exacting standards. And I think people are going to be pleased with what they see unfolding over the next several months in that area. With that having been said, let me open it up for any questions that you may have for me or anybody that's up here with me.
Mayor,
Alan?
You mentioned that in the next couple of months the website will expand to 10 more agencies in addition to these 5. So are you capping it at 15, or will it eventually cover the entire district government?
No, the idea is to do everything. We just want to do it in an organized fashion so that, one, from these 5 agencies, which again are some of the most complicated from a customer perspective, that we learn from that experience. We haven't even selected the next 10 yet, but they will probably be selected in the same way, and that is, beyond these 5, what are the next 10 that, from a customer perspective, are some of the most used services in the city. But then eventually it will cover everyone. And frankly, we look at even the independent agencies, like the public library would be a part of this. The housing authority, we know those are services that are used by lots of people. So eventually, I think people will be able to say that Grade.DC.Gov is covering the entire District of Columbia government.
You know how long that might take? Are we talking years?
No, absolutely not. That's why we moved quickly on this. Between, I guess, my visit to Sean and his team back in December, we made the decision within the next 60 days. I announced it in February. And frankly, a lot of the work that they have done obviously will serve the expansion that we are talking about. So we were able to get that done, what, Sean, in about 4 months?
Yeah,
to get to where we are today, less than that. It's up and running as of today. So I don't know, to add 10 agencies, I don't think that would be a monumental task at all. It would just be a matter of bringing them on, tweaking what we've done with the application already, and then bringing those agencies on. So to me, I could envision all the agencies being on by the end of the year. Ms. Brazil?
I have a question for you, Mr. Mayor, and next to Mr. O'Leary. What is the total cost of this initiative? You mentioned that you met with newBrandAnalytics back in December to get them to stay in the District of Columbia. Did you have to offer them some incentives to stay in the District of Columbia? And how much is the cost of this project to the District of Columbia?
Okay. The answer, Ms. Brazil, is about $500,000, but spread over 3 years. So somewhere in the neighborhood of about, I don't know, $175 a year.
And that's even if you add 10 additional agencies?
I think so. I think that's everything. Yeah, that covers it. Covers it for the next 3 years.
And did you have to offer them any incentives to stay in the district?
In a sense, yes. In a sense, no. There was nothing specific we did with NBA. Do you mind me calling you NBA?
You can call me whatever you
Yeah. National Basketball Association. But we have put together a piece of legislation that is pending before the council at present that would, underscore the tech incentives that have been in place. that would lower, for those investors and technology companies, it would lower the capital gains tax. It would eliminate those kind of arcane zones that we've had before and make the entire District of Columbia a zone. So newBrandAnalytics will benefit from that as well as any other technology firm. So there was nothing specific that we put on the table for newBrandAnalytics. But it just, this application, it just struck me when I was sitting there. Why can't we do this with the District of Columbia Government Services?
My last.
I can just pipe in a little bit. There was not any one thing that the mayor offered us, the mayor's office offered us to stick around, that motivated us to stick around. We were anxious about this project, certainly, but we see this as a win-win for us in the city, in the mayor's office, and then again, an opportunity for us to grow a business in a new vertical that we don't typically go after right now. But we certainly, I wouldn't make a business decision for our company based on what might happen down the road with legislation. That's probably a bad idea. So no, there wasn't anything like that.
But you did get a $500,000 contract out of it, right?
If we perform, we do. There's nothing guaranteed yet. We have work to do still as well. So this is really just about $170,000 through this next fiscal calendar, and there's no guarantees from that point on if we don't get the work done.
My last question to the mayor is that newBrandAnalytics is going to mine social media, and these cards that were handed out say comment on city services by feedback through Twitter, text, or Facebook. To those DC residents, Mr. Mayor, who don't tweet, who don't text, and don't go on Facebook, how do they submit their comments? And are you concerned that there's an entire population out there in the District of Columbia that this initiative is going to bypass?
Well, I think more and more people are using text messages. That's just a matter of using your cell phone, and I bet you everybody out here uses text at this stage. Not everybody uses Twitter or Facebook yet, but they will increasingly. But remember that we're not eliminating anything else either. We still have 311, and people can provide their feedback by calling 311. We do have a new 311 app, but your question would be applicable to those folks as well. But it doesn't at all eliminate what we do now in terms of getting feedback. It just simply expands on it in a way that recognizes that we have been in a technological explosion and using that to the best of our ability. And it may be, Ms. Brazil, you're right, there are people who may not have the capacity right now to do that, but as the years unfold, this is going to become like a pencil in the hands of people. Everybody will be using it. So we're trying to get in front of it and not playing catch up, at a later point saying, I wish we had, begun with our technology applications earlier. We're on the cutting edge. And I honestly think that there will be other cities and other states that will look at what's being done here. One, in terms of the applications that we're involved in, and then, frankly, the relationship that we've developed with newBrandAnalytics, because everybody is working hard now to try to retain technology firms in their jurisdiction for obvious reasons. It's even more obvious for us. And they probably will look at those relationships as well.
Can I make one more comment about that? I'm sorry to keep jumping in here, but I've got the data. You've brought up a couple times, Facebook and Twitter. Those are certainly areas or applications that we would expect to see a lot of traffic. But the website itself, as it was mentioned, it went live this morning. And as we were driving over here, we did a quick look. We had about 25 or so comments already submitted, 24 of which were through the website. So that we would expect that to get a fair amount of traffic, and as people get more familiar with the service itself, I think Twitter should pick up, because that's more of a point of, I won't say sale, but at the point of discovery of the thought or the comment, they'll tweet it fairly quickly or send us a text.
So have you looked at these demographics and you realize part of the population does not tweet, does not go on Facebook?
Absolutely. That's why we're providing so many different avenues by which people can get back with us.
Let me underscore again that we're not eliminating anything that already exists. Right. And frankly, for a lot of the people who you're referring to, Ms. Brazil, I think we hear it in kind of the old-fashioned way. We go out to community meetings and we hear from people there. I always take a staff person with me, and again, using the same charge, and that is do it now. We were over in the northeast boundary Civic Association the other night. There must have been, 40 or 50 people who were there who had various and sundry issues. And Cedric, where are you, Cedric? Oh, there he is. He was with me, and There were, I don't know how many concerns were expressed that night, but his assignment was to start right then, trying to correct those issues, address those issues, and he ranged anywhere from a lot on 56th Street where it had overgrown, overgrown grass. And frankly, somebody was interesting. Somebody said, I'm having a problem using the new 311 app, that the confirmation that they got back was not the site that they had identified. So it gave us some feedback on that as well. So I think we had a mix of people in there. We had people in there who are using the old school methods, and we have people who are adapting to the new. And I think as we see more and more of our young people coming through schools and whatnot, tweeting and Facebook and all of that is going to be just secondhand to them. It's going to be easy. In fact, what I suspect is the day will be coming when somebody will say, who uses Facebook anymore? Who uses Twitter anymore? And we just want to be on the cutting edge. Yes.
Hi, my name is Marissa Evans with Washington Post. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but in the first few...
You don't have to be.
I'm trying not to be, sir. In the first few weeks, if any of these agencies actually fail, what is the plan?
Well, I don't know what fail means. If you mean they haven't done very well,
Yes.
the idea is to do what we should be doing, and that is to work on correcting the problems that have been identified. That's why this application, this is why this approach is being used. And frankly, you know, there's an old adage that said, what gets measured gets done. And this is another case of measuring something that we expect to get done. And that is, everybody wants to get a good grade on their report card. There's not a person behind me, and these are some top-notch professionals who are behind me, who don't want to look at whatever the feedback is and see that they've done something well. And I don't have any doubt that every one of them, any one of them, will say, let me see what the problem was and let me try to get that fixed, because I don't want to hear that one again.
Mr. Mayor, what do you expect to see when the grades come out?
What do I expect to see from the agencies?
From your experience with the agencies so far as a DC resident, what do you think that
I think it'll be all over the park. I think we'll have some people who will see things as their experience as not having been very good. I think there were others who will be somewhere in the middle, and I think there's some people who will have had an excellent experience. One of the most important things to me in the early going is to communicate to people that we really do want to know, and that's a part of the issue also. I think you know, when you have public services like this, there are people who believe that no one listens to the public, nobody wants to know what the public thinks, and they don't get any feedback on issues that they raise. A lot of the things that we get when we go out to community meetings are anecdotal or individual experiences. We're trying to systematize this in a way so we gather it much more broadly and can send a message to the people of the city that we not only want to hear from you, but we intend to correct the problem that you've identified.
And is it an actual grading system, A through F?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
And just for kicks, what grade do you think that people would give your office?
A+. I don't know. I mean, we'll be all over the park too.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Pardon? I can't hear you, Alan.
Other comments?
Yeah, wait a minute. Are there any other issues? If not, thank you all very much. Okay, other topics? By the way, I want to acknowledge the presence of Betty Land, who is with the U.S. Postal Service and has been gracious enough to let us be able to use the site today for this press conference. And obviously the site is not for the Postal Service per se, it's for the inspection station, which is right behind us. Alan?
As a DC, I don't know if you've seen the council meeting from this morning. It was a rather rambunctious meeting. As a former council chair, as a DC resident, what grade would you give the DC council? What feedback would you give them from this morning session?
Well, I'd give them high marks for having moved ahead quickly to address the issue. Having addressed it forthrightly, I give them high marks on selecting someone who I think will do an excellent job. I worked with Phil Mendelson my entire time on the council, and I'll tell you, I assume the media know, you're not going to find anybody who's more hardworking than Phil Mendelson. Many people know my work habits, which are late into the night. There are many nights when I've left that building as a council member, council chair, and now as mayor, and Phil Mendelson is still in that building working. So they will get an earnest effort from him, from someone who is very experienced.
But having council members, you know, bringing up points of order, councils shouting down each other. Is that appropriate for a city's legislative body to be engaging in?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to assess the appropriateness of it. I mean, you're in a legislative environment where the rules of order, should be used. I mean, imagine if they didn't use that, and you'd have complete chaos. But people have strongly held views. You have some incredibly capable council members who are going to work as hard as they can to get their point of view across. So, it would have been great if they had gone in there and just, everybody agreed on the direction they wanted to go. They took the direction, and that would have been into the session. But we're in a democracy, and in a democracy, people who represent the views of other people should have a chance to speak, to be heard, and to put their approaches on the table. Tom?
Mr. Mendelson has made it clear he plans to run in November for the fuller term. Mr. Orange hasn't really made it a secret that he's interested as well. Even though it's up to the voters, who would you like to see in that position for the long term to affect your vision for the city?
Well, I think we'll have time now to look at it, won't we? We'll see how Mr. Mendelson does over the next several months. I like to think I can work with anybody. And remember, these are a lot of people I worked with. There's not a member on that council except for Kenyon McDuffie, who I didn't work with in the legislative body. And I worked with him because he worked for Deputy Mayor Quander in our Deputy Mayor for Public Safety and Justice office. So I know that I can work with every one of them. And keeping foremost in our minds that we want to move the city forward, we'll find a way to get it done.
And just immediately, for immediate goals, are there certain things you want to see the council get done in this interim period? Campaign finance reform, things like that?
Yeah, I think, we're working on our own package. We had a lengthy meeting yesterday. We'll probably have something to submit very soon to the council. I don't want to put a timetable on it because the drafting is still underway. We have a lot of confirmations that are pending in the council. And there's always a lot of business. It's just the nature of the council as you move into recess. You'll have probably, I don't know, what's today, what's today, 13th? 13th. You'll probably have maybe 3, maybe 4 sessions before recess because there is so much business to be done. I tell you, if you sit down with Phil Mendelson, you'll realize that he understands how to run a meeting. He understands the rules of the council, the rules of order, and is somebody who is respected for his knowledge of the city, his dedication, his commitment, his perseverance, his diligence, all those adjectives that I think apply to him.
Mr. Brown apologized last Friday. Do you accept his apology?
Mr. Brown, I said before, I came on the council with Kwame Brown, and this was a deeply disappointing experience for me, and I'm sure for him. Certainly not to diminish it, but I think this goes, one of the issues goes all the way back to 2005 when he first came on the council himself, and the other one goes back to 2008. I don't have any reason to doubt his sincerity in apologizing to the people of the District of Columbia.
How do you feel, what else do you think needs to be done for D.C. government to earn back the trust from its residents?
Either we'll have to wait or you'll have to speak up. Okay. By the way, the helicopters will get a D- for interfering with our...
As I was saying, how do you feel D.C. government, what else does D.C. government have to do to regain the trust from D.C. residents?
I think do the job. Do the job. That's what people are looking for to be done. And, what's unfortunate in this, and we know, we understand human behavior, we understand human beings, but this city is running extremely well. It's interesting, and you all are the media, I don't know of any major service issues that are looming out there. And frankly, I think there will be even fewer as a result of Grade.DC.Gov because we'll know what the issues are, what the concerns are, and have the capacity on a proactive basis to be able to intervene to address those issues. So we want to keep running the city and run it well. I think on many indices at this stage, we are in the top 5, top 3, top 2, and maybe first. Certainly on sustainability issues. And by the way, we're going to continue to work assertively, aggressively to implement our Sustainable DC plan. We talked to some of our friends in Philadelphia yesterday, and we're thinking about engaging in a friendly competition with them, which will be friendly as long as we win, and won't be so friendly if we're not winning.
Mr. Mayor,
James,
you are scheduled to go on a trip to China later on this month. Given that all that is going on in the city now politically, will you postpone the trip, or are you still going to go?
I'm going to go because it will benefit the city. We've had 2, maybe 3 meetings with leaders in China. This is an opportunity to move this forward. I'll be participating in a sustainability conference that will advance our goals there. And within that concept, within the construct of sustainability, transportation is an issue that we've been working on. So I think it will advance the purposes of the city to be able to do that. And I think that's what the people want. I think they want to see the city moving forward. That's it. Thank you all very much.